Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Eddie D'Souza, and we're at the Shaw Building right now. I'm here with a very good friend of mine, John Goodwin, and it's very appropriate that he's the first guest on You're the Star, because when I came to the Caribou 20 years ago to play at the Billy Barker Hotel, John was the very first person that I met when I was in Quesnel. So, John, it's an honor to have you here for the very first episode of You're the Star.
Well, it's an honor to be here, and I want to congratulate you for getting this thing going, and for Shaw Cable for seeing the interest in local entertainers and artists, and we have a great potential here. I can see it.
Right on. Yes, a very big thank you to Shaw Cable, especially Steve Bernard and Heather Berger for making the show possible. So we're going to start off, John. Can you tell us a tiny bit about where you were born and where you were raised?
I was born on the East Coast in New Brunswick in 1947. That's a little while ago. And when I was little, we moved to Ontario, and my dad was a driller and a blaster in the gold mines. So like I've been gold mining all my life kind of thing, or knowing about it. And then when I was about in grade 1, we moved back to New Brunswick, and for 3 years, and then my dad got a job out in British Columbia in the mill up there in Bear Lake, close to north of Prince George. And he sent us a ticket, and the whole family came on the train, and that was a real story in itself. My mother with 5 children, and we lost Leroy in Montreal at the train station. But that's another story. But anyway, then we came to British Columbia in 1957. So we moved right into the sticks in Bear Lake. And that's kind of where I was raised. But like when I tell people that, where did you grow up? And I always say nobody from Bear Lake ever really grew up. Everybody some people grew out of there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a tiny bit about like what influenced you to get into music in the first place.
Well, when I was little, we lived in Ontario, and we had this old gramophone, and that you had to crank up. And we had 2 old 78 records. One was Snow Deer. I don't know if you know the tune, but it goes dee 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 dee, you know, and it was just a tune, and I always learned to tap my toe to that, and I played that record over and over again. And the other record was a real mournful song of Hank Williams, and it was called 6 More Miles to the Graveyard. And I used to marvel at how could someone put words and so much feeling together in a song.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 songs kind of more or less made a blueprint for me the rest of my life, because I always loved the lyrics of songs and the stories they told. And of course, some of the people could tell a story better than others.
So you were very young when you started your career?
Well, kind of. My singing career started very young. My guitar playing started later. Of course, when I got a guitar when the age of 14.
Okay, so tell me a tiny bit about your songwriting, because you've been writing songs for years now.
Well, the songwriting seems to come with the experience of on the road or where you're going and what you're doing in life, and it's a reflection of you don't always just write a song when you want to. At least I can't. I just don't seem to be able to just pick up the pen and do it until the inspiration comes along, and a certain truth of something you're seeking, it seems to come to you. And I find it, I don't know what you call it, but I have a lot of inspiration in my work, and when you stay true to that and remember that at your lowest time, it's just the time when the light is going to come on. And that's usually when the song starts coming or the words start flowing. And it has to be strong enough to make you get out of bed in the middle of the night and get up and write it down. And get it on something that you can remember what you did. Because the music and the words come together for me, which I'm lucky that way. But
well, for myself, what I do is I normally have a piece of paper and a pen right beside my bed.
Yeah.
And for years I've always had like that going on. Eh?
Yeah.
So, John, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show, and I think we're going to play one of your videos.
Ah, is that the first one on the BC Music Project of Old Port?
Sounds
Would that be it?
good.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I'd like to tell you a little bit about that a little.
Please do. Yeah.
The gunfighter was Orrin Porter Rockwell, and he was a well-known gunfighter throughout the West in the early days when the pioneers and the wagon trains were moving west. And he was a bodyguard sort of to the prophet of the Mormon church. And they kept him in a dungeon jail, no higher than he could stand up, or he couldn't stand up in there, and his hair grew really long. And when they let him out of jail, he was a real wreck of a looking guy. But when as soon as he let him out, he swore that he would never get back in that position again, right? And so he became one of the well-known gunfighters in the West. And if all the stories were true, there's probably more than 200 people that he brought back in. And in the video, you'll see
how he brought them back in.
There's a picture of Rockwell Returns. And he always brought them in hanging over the saddle.
That's right.
Because in them days, they didn't have time for a judge and a jury and all that, wait for the judge to come around. Nobody could feed everybody. All these guys were guilty anyway, so, you know, he took the law in his own hands and did the job that had to be done. But he's a real colorful character. But the real unique part of this story is that one time the prophet Joseph blessed him that he would never die from an assailant's bullet or knife as long as he didn't cut his hair. So he became a real long hair, long beard, and he only cut his hair once to make a wig for a lady that had cancer that lost her hair, right? But he didn't lose his strength.
A true gentleman.
It was a true story. And,
Wow.
yeah, doing the research on the early West, and I read a lot of stories, and so this was one of the people that you never hear about, and we hear about them all the time.
Once again, this is John Goodwin with a video called Old Port.
The desert is your song. The turmoil of your soul is left behind. In Nauvoo, a place lost in memory. Oh, poor air blowing in the wind. Your gray eyes searching in the snow for the bloody trail that was left from Missouri. Look back to where your love lies, where the prophet wept for you. Oh, Lord, Rockwell. Oh, poor hands resting on your gun. It said that you could ride all night long to capture a breaker of the law. Oh, port, protector of the weak, the only law in this wild frontier. The outlaw, they all knew to stay clear of him. Look back to where your love lies, where the prophet wept for you. Oh, Porter Rockwell. The prophet Joseph blessed him, and in that prayer he said, don't cut your hair, and you won't have to die with your boots on. Old Port has now gone with brother Joseph, and now they can work without fear. 'Cause Jesus them there. Look back to where your love lies, where the prophet wept for you on Border Rock Will. A fellow wanderer, an exile from his home, an innocent and noble boy, my soul